And here we go. We're getting into our next series. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing Twisted Minds. He just brought down Cure. It is ClanKy. Oh. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zori player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. I have to be very quick. This is the semifinals, which means predictions. If you're in the chat, predictions will be opened. I just need a moment. I need a moment to set up said predictions. It all happened so quickly. Un momento. Semifinals. Dark. Classic. Alright, upon hearing this message, you have a couple of minutes. You have a couple of minutes to place your bets on who you think is going to advance on to the grand finals. Of course, Dark, I would say he's probably the favorite player here, but Classic is no slouch. He has taken down Dark in the past. Classic is, of course, one of the best Protosses that Korea has to offer. So I wanna believe that we can go all the way to the ace match here. But we'll see. We shall see. So we can now focus on the game. Focus on the cast. Let's get things ready. Beautiful. And with that, we are now getting into this. So far, a gate expand here from a Classic. Dark across the map, going for a hatch gas pool force take the unnatural natural. Hold on, I'll let everyone know that. Predictions open. Predictions are open, and we can get into this now. We just, of course, covered Dark versus Estrella. We had a very intense series, very back and forth. It was great to see Estrella just really, I don't want to say dominate, but or be dominant, but keep up with, that's probably a better word, keep up with Dark in the late game and go toe-to-toe with him. I'm sure we're going to see a very different PvZ here, though. Classic is a very aggressive player. When I say aggressive, I don't mean all in, or I don't mean cheesy. We're not going to be seeing any kind of weird, you know, Immortal Sentry kind of old school parting Soul Train all in like we saw from Estrella, but we can see Classic go for something like 3-base 8-gate all in, or hit these very crisp timings with double Robo Colossus production, for example. Even going Mass Oracle. Classic is constantly in your face. But in recent times, Classic has also been very fond of the carrier rush. It is something that we have noticed over the past couple of weeks, especially over the past 2 weeks. In a lot of these PvZs, Classic has been getting his third base on time and rushing into fleet beacons, and I wonder if he's going to do that again. I wonder if that will be the case. As for now, we do have that Stargate opener into the initial Oracle. Is going to be going across the map. Is going to be looking to harass. Base is on the way. And oh my god, that's already a lot of damage being done to that first Oracle. Ay, not ideal here for Classic. He did get 2 drones, which is nice, and he kept the Oracle alive, but again, that's a lot of hull damage. Is going to soften that up, is going to force it back home. As we move out with our second Oracle, looking for more damage. Behind this, a standard transition into a Twilight Council, into a Forge. Should be +1 and Blink. We can also go into Charge. Meanwhile, ooh, Dark getting punished for not having a Spore. It is natural. Not having Queens either. 5 drones go down. Classic doing an insane amount of damage already. And Dark is going to go all in. This happens a lot. If Dark ever sustains too much damage, he's just going to commit to an all-in. And here we go. We have a Baneling Nest about to finish up. Has this been spotted by Classic? Does he know? He did come across the Baneling Nest. There we go. Cannons and shoot batteries are on the way. Sentries for force fields. Classic is getting ready for the all-in. He's going to lose his third, but Dark needs more than just a third base. Here we go. Queens are waddling across the map. Banelings are being morphed in as well. Did Classic have enough time? This sack defense is going to finish. Classic even throwing down side defense here at his third base. I'm not too sure if I like that. But he wants to hold on to it too. He wants to try. But it may just be in vain because this Nexus is going to go down. And Classic invested quite a bit here to try to hold on to it. There we go. He does cancel those buildings, does recall his sentries. And Dark is droning behind this. It looks like he recognizes that he cannot break the natural. He sees the shield battery, the cannon, the force fields as well. He doesn't want to waste any units here trying to break this position. He's droning as best he can. Now, we don't have any queens, so workers are going to fall here at the natural. Very good counterattack at a Classic. Annihilating the mineral line. 9 workers go down. 10, 11. And Dark was supposed to try to recover economically, but alas, that is not happening. He's down to 38 workers. Oof. Yeah, it takes a while for the queens to waddle back home. It'll take a while. Dark is going to be taking the gold. This will help when it comes to recovering his economy, but he needs time. He is going to need a lot of time. Looks like Dark is going to be forced out. And Classic is regaining control of his natural. I would say right now Classic is ahead. He has an economic advantage. He has production, blink, and +1 about to kick in as well. Dark has to do everything he can to just keep Classic at home and to just have him back off. Oh god. we can't afford this, Fathy. As 1 Oracle will go down, thankfully, but 5 more drones fall. Gold base is getting up and running. The Oracle, will it see it? It looks like it will. Does confirm the gold. He knows. And I don't know if Dark is actually going to be able to get this up and running. Classic, as soon as his upgrades kick in, he can push out, and it's not going to take much at all to kill this hatchery. Now, as he moves out, Dark is moving in, but he could try and get a cancel on this third. It is possible. But we have a warp in. The Oracles come back home. Hatchery goes down. Third base is kept alive. Classic, he's just maintaining his lead. Dark stuck on 3 bases, trying to squeeze out this 4th over on the right-hand side. He now has +1 melee, working on roaches. He's building up a decent army. And he's getting ready for a surround. Here we go, Queens coming from the front, Lings from behind, but oh my god, the force fields, oh my god, Jesus. Force fields that would make Australia envious, to be honest. This is what he wanted as well in his own game. But beautiful force fields does avoid the surround. And Classic, he can reinforce. He has plenty of energy for even more. As he's rotating over towards that third. Dark does have some Ravagers on the way. But this is such a narrow choke point. It's so difficult for the Zerg player to really engage here outside of a surround. Classic, though, is going to back off. He's going to back off, consolidate his forces, regroup, saturate his base. And this next push is going to hit with +2. Behind all of this, we are getting into an infestation bit. It looks like Dark wants to maybe rush into, I would say, Hive Tech. Maybe he wants to try to work towards Lurkers. That's still a ways off. And once again, good force fields are thrown down. Likewise, the Biles as well to shut down said force fields. We can see Classic, he's zoning Dark away from his own 4th base. This hatchery is not going to get up and running. Dark is being contained to 3 hatcheries for this entire game. Just cannot expand. The drones are kept alive, but the hatchery falls. And that's all that Classic has to do. From here, he can rotate around. He doesn't have to force the issue. I would say that it may even be a mistake if he tries to force his way into this third, but he's going for it. mean, Classic does have a pretty big advantage. Like, that's a lot of Stalkers. That's the big army, Papi. Ooh. Likewise, big piles on the sentries. Likewise, the sentries are going down. Only 2 left. This is turning into a pure Stalker army. But it may be all of that Classic needs. Up. Yeah, as the Lings are being shaved off, the Ravagers going down one after the other. Classic is going to back off. He's had enough. He's going to calm down. And Dark is getting this hatchery up and running. The drones still are not mining. They're still waiting for their moment. Oh, hide, Papi, hide. Get out of here. As the drones are kept safe, thankfully. And Classic is expanding, taking his own 4th, while Dark gets his own 4th up. And I'm really waiting to see how Classic is going to transition. And it looks like we have our answer. We have +3 attack on the way alongside Charge. Charge is in production. And not coming into play yet, though. And pushing up this ramp is going to be a little bit more difficult. Dark has the high ground. He has the defender's advantage. He is holding. Dark is slowly recovering as he defends Link counterattack, but there are oracles to protect this base. Meanwhile, we do manage to get a Warp Prism into the main. We warp in the Zealots. Prism is going to go down. These are still slow lots, by the way. But really, they're just a big distraction. They're a distraction for these Lings as the Stalkers deny the 5th. But at least Dark is able to get his 4th base up and running. He finally expands. Now that he has his Infestation Pit, he's able to get into Hive Tech. We have Adrenal on the way, +3. Roach Speed finally in production as well. It's something that Dark hasn't really been able to afford, or hasn't been able to make use of yet. But it's coming in. Go. That's Classic. Oh my god, he's even taking the forward gold base as well. That's how confident he's feeling. That's Classic for you. Baneling run by does get caught out as well. At least some of the Banelings do. Others will finish morphing in. We are still lacking those Zealots. Still working on a pure Blink Stalker army, and there is strength in Blink Stalkers, yes, but it's still a very delicate army to control. As Banelings are rolling in, no reaction out of Classic. 14 probes go down. The entire mineral line here at that 4th. Very good run by here from Dark. Oh my god, big fungal as well. And that is going to counteract these Blinks. Biles will connect. Ugh, and Classic is being punished here for not taking up further into Disruptors, into Colossus, into Immortals, anything else, Archons. Classic still just wants to make this pure Stalker army work, and over time it does get outscaled. Of course, he's doing well here blinking and controlling against the Lings. Oh god, but that's still a lot of Lings. Impressive Blinks though, impressive. Oh my god. Look at the trades here. Classic has lost 38 Lings against 306... Sorry, 38 Stalkers against 361 Lings. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of Lings, Papi. Over 300 Lings have died this game. To Stalkers more than anything. Well, Classic is getting the gold up and running. There it is, finally Templar Archives in production for Classic. He's still staying on a very low gas count. That's the reason why he's so Stalker heavy, is he doesn't have a lot of gas to work with to tech up even further. He's basically on barely 3 gases mining. Hasn't taken the gases here at his 3rd or his 4th. Oh, as the Baileys do roll in, they do find some connections. At the same time, we do see a massive Lingbane counterattack. The natural base is being broken. Classic was definitely ahead earlier. He was looking strong, but we can see him just falling apart at the seams. Refusing to take gases, refusing to transition. And the Dark is punishing him for it. There's a bit of a Zealot counterattack, but it's not really doing enough. Gets 11 workers, but there are plenty of links to reinforce. And I'm mainly worried about the army of Classic. He's down to 20 Stalkers. This is half of what he once had. And again, like, he can't do anything else. He's just forced to just continue to warp in more Stalkers, more Zealots. His army isn't getting better. Any lesser Zerg player would have died. To be fair, obviously that's the goal here from Classic, is you stay on a low gas count and you overwhelm the Zerg player with mass blink Stalkers, but it clearly didn't work. Not against Dark. Dark was able to hold on long enough, and over time he was able to get his 4th back up and running, get a 5th up and running as well. It's a style that's really powerful initially, but clearly it falls off. And yeah, Classic, he just wasn't expecting that. Wasn't expecting Dark to be able to recover the way that he did, and sure, he takes down a Baneling Nest, he takes down a lot of tech, which is nice. He's pushing in on the right hand side. If he can get this base, maybe Classic can find his way back into this. Yeah, Hatchery is gonna fall. But he's still only on 4 bases. He's out of gas here in the main. Only has 2 gas guys. Oh, not even. Oh, he's not even mining from them. Ah, he didn't notice from the Ling run by earlier. Yeah, okay, there we go. We now resaturate the gases. But yeah, Classic, he's running out, Poppy. He's running out. Now he's finally incorporating some Archons. Like, his army is now a little bit more well-refined. But it may just be too late because Dark is maxed. He's working on a bank. Because he lost his Baneling Nest, he doesn't have any Banelings available. He just now noticed. As he tried to go for a run by. Yeah, from here, Classic is going for a big push. He can maybe get on top of these Ravagers. Oh! Catches Dark unawares. Dark able to react in time with that Fungal. Classic pulling back in time. He's going for a warping into the main base. Classic can still maybe pull this off. But the Lings are coming in to reinforce. Neural's coming in as well on the Archons. And with that, Dark should be able to collapse on this army. Should be able to clean up these Archons as well. Meanwhile, in the main base, the Zealots do take down the Hive. Classic doing what he can with what he has. Actually pulling Dark apart a little bit, but he's still at such a deficit. It's still not enough, Papi. Still not enough. As that was basically everything that Classic had. He now takes his additional gases. Hasn't mined from them yet, but there we go. And yeah, from here, basically, we're waiting for Dark to max out here with now his Banelings. And I don't think that Classic can defend against this. Even with shield batteries, even with overcharge and a cannon. And that one Archon just doesn't have enough. Dark is still going to take this slow. He's not quite aware of how large the army is of his opponents. But there we go. We have the Yoink. We have a Powerbomb on the Oracles as well, because why the hell not? The Vipers will fall. But the Banelings, they're rolling in. They are rolling in. They don't go for the mineral line. They take down the Stalkers. And that was the last standing army of a Classic. He has 2 Stalkers left and 3 Oracles. He's on a bit of copium, but it's okay. As the gold is going to fall, Banelings, they try to roll into that 4th base as well. Classic has nothing left. Warps and Zealots into the main. Really, he's just letting it sink in. Accepting the game state a little bit here. As Zealots are doing a lot of damage across the map, to be fair. These Oracles have done a lot for themselves. Classic, can he somehow bring this back? Can he trade efficiently enough? He's taking down the Roaches one after the other. Uh-oh. The Roaches are falling. Ah, we have Lings. But we have our Lings. As Dark pulls back with his Roach Ravager, he takes down the Nexus. And Dark can focus on recovering. Things got close. The economy is pretty close between both players. Classic fighting back as hard as he could. But despite that, despite the workarounds being pretty even, like Classic doesn't have any mining going on right now. He's got 4 patches available against Dark, who's got 2 fresh bases. You have spores on the way, just in case. Boys are being pulled because I guess what else can they do? And Classic is going for... Oh no, it's going to be long distance. Okay, I was like, is he going to fight with the boys? Is going to be moving out with what he has. Double down on Oracle production. Long distance mining. I mean, again, Classic with that previous Zealot run by actually did a surprising amount of economic damage, and Dark is having a hard time remaxing. I still favor him overall. Again, as long as we have Queens, as long as we have Spores, yeah, the Oracles shouldn't get too much done. Oh, even files down one of the Oracles. And at this point, I think finally, finally Dark should be able to close it out. Classic was refusing tonight, but GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 1. Oof, my god. This series turning into a bit of a longer one. I apologize. I assumed that we would already be closing up the finals by this point, but ESL Asia this week is going a little bit longer. And that does mean that we're missing out on some more Masters Coliseum, which again is a shame. We are collecting replays though, so we will go for a replay cast in a couple of days. But we are missing out on some matches. It's okay. We'll get back into it. Go back into it. We'll catch up. We'll catch up. Oh, as we're getting into game 2, that was draining. Catching up. Catching up. I can't accept that Chin losing anything right now. Oh. And here we go. We're getting into our next game, into game number 2, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Babylon, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player coming back from the brink of defeat, coming from behind. That's the best Dark when he is behind. It is Dark. Here we go. Again, Dark, he was honestly on the brink of defeat in that previous game. He was up against the wall. He was in a dire position. But he came back. Looking good, looking powerful, looking strong. To be fair, a lot of that game also did come down to the fact that Classic was a little bit stubborn. Initially, obviously, he was doing amazingly with his Blink Stalker harass and with his pushes, with his aggression. But over time, he did need to start transitioning out, taking gases, taking up into Archons, taking up into Colossi, you know, pick your poison, right? Whatever supportive unit you want. He did need a transition, but he refused to. And because he refused to take additional gases and take that next step, it did kind of give an opportunity. It opened the door for Dark to come back in that game, to be able to trade more efficiently and, yeah, snowball out of control. So really well done by Dark. Really well done. But also, este Classic. Stubborn in more ways than one. Obviously, some when it came to transitioning out of that unit composition, but also when it came to even letting go of that game. He stuck in there as long as he could, fighting back as hard as he could. And he made it close, I guess, towards the end. But Dark was still able to take that game. But here we go. For the time being, Hatch Gas Pool Opener here from Dark, taking that third base, or force take the unnatural natural. As to be expected. And Classic, once again, is going for a Stargate opener. Pretty standard stuff from both players. Nothing too crazy yet, but it's about the follow-up. It's about, you know, when they take their third bases, how they take their third bases. Mainly looking at Classic, really. Kuro on replay duty. Let's go. Yeah, for this something, Kuro is currently collecting replays from Masters Coliseum, so we can cast it later on. I'm not too sure when we have time to cut. You know what? Let me just quickly check our calendar. Because we have amendment to ourselves, or we have oracles on the way, we have link speed, nothing too crazy. We're just droning, just saturating our bases. Tomorrow, maybe, Oh, those are early casts. Maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday, earlier in the day, we'll be able to do a Masters Coliseum replay cast. Before the weekend, for sure. We got you guys covered. Got you guys covered. Oh, I thought I was gonna have some time off not casting twice a day. No, Papi, no. Never. All night long, Papi, all night long. I'll message Asher. I'll see if I can get him involved. As for now, the Oracles are moving out. Adepts are going to be threatening his shade, but only threatening. As Dark is able to maintain control of his side of the map. So far, good queen movements. Good spore placement. And Classic is going for that Twilight Council. Interesting. Okay, so a big tell. Classic does throw down the Twilight Council after the third. No Forge. There is no Forge behind this. This is looking like... the Forge is on the way, but it is delayed here instead. Interesting. I'm still feeling like an H-Gate all-in, but we'll see. We'll see what Classic has in store for us. What he does take into. I see Adepts do get a couple of workers. If Classic had delayed this Forge even further, I would have said that this would have been Glaive Adepts. But because there's still a Forge on the way, I guess this is still going to be for Blink Stalkers. And there we go. Blink is on the horizon. As the Oracles are going ham. Oh my god. We're going to be losing one of them, but 10 workers go down. A lot of damage. 10 workers, well worth of one Oracle. At the same time, Lings are also going for a counterattack. No shield battery. Uh-oh. No shield battery, but not enough links to overcome and overwhelm these Stalkers, so Classic is able to hold on. There's that +1 on the way. For the time being, only 4 gateways, so nothing too major yet. This Classic is moving out. He's looking for a bit more damage, but alas, Dark is able to, for the most part, recoup his losses. Got his 4th base on the way. His Ling's just going to get an eye on things, make sure that gases are being taken, that the base is being saturated. And yeah, we have a much more passive early to mid game here between our 2 players. Just ramping up here until we get into our gateways. Into our upgrades, I should have said. Ooh, meanwhile, Dark is going for a very fast infestation pit. This is something that we have noticed from Dark in this matchup. He's quite fond of it, rushing into the infestation pit very quickly to get into fast hive tech, to get into fast vipers or adrenal glands. As you can imagine in this matchup, Lings are a pretty important part, and adrenal glands is sometimes an overlooked upgrade, or like maybe understated, like how impactful it can be, especially early on. If we were going to charge, then Swarm Host would be an option for Dark. He has made Swarm Hosts before, he even made them against Estrella. But against Blink Stalkers, it's not anywhere near as good. Ooh, as we are going for double Disruptor production, or sorry, I believe this is supposed to be double Colossus production, either or, though, do have a second robot on the way, so Classic is going for a very different style. And I feel like Dark is reading this so well. What I mean by that is he sees both forges, so he now knows that his opponent's going to be more passive, is going to be going for a longer game. And because Dark is rushing into Hive Tech, regardless of whether it was going to be Colossus or Disruptors, Dark is going to have Vipers in time. Vipers are going to be on the way, and as we all know, they are just the antithesis here of any kind of high-tech robot unit. The yoinks are insane. So a really good read here out of Dark. Whether or not he expected this out of Classic, or, you know, again, was just using this for Adrenal, he will have the tech available to shut this down. Hydrogen on the way. Okay, so it looks like Dark is getting ready for potentially Lurkers, which also coincides with the Hive. Once Dark recognizes exactly what he's up against, though, we should be working on Vipers. Until then, Classic, he's just being more defensive. He's slowly taking a 4th base. First Colossus have arrived. And there are these big timings available for Classic. The first timing is with 2 Colossus. The second power spike for Protoss is with 4. Because when these 4 Colossus come out, Extended Thermal Lance is going to be done. Extended Thermal Lance will be done here in time for 4 Colossi, and we can push out, we can have a hefty army. We may even have the Templar Archives to morph in some Archons as well. As the Colossus just got scouted, immediately Vipers are on the way. As soon as we got eyes on the Colossus, Vipers are in production. But Classic is about to have 4, he's about to have Extended Thermal Lance, he should be looking to be active pretty soon. And if he's not, then Dark is going to be able to get away with the Lunkers and the Vipers. Again, Hydra Lurker Viper is like the ideal anti-ground toss army that Zerg can go for. Outside of, like, you know, Broodlords later on down the line. And Classic, he's backing off. Okay, so he's not going to be hitting this timing. We have Storm on the way, Charge as well. It looks like Classic, he's being a little bit more passive, more defensive. Waiting for more upgrades, waiting for Storm, and this is going to give Dark so much breathing room. Like, this entire game, outside of the Oracle Harass, like, Classic is just allowing Dark to do whatever he wants. Dark has been able to drone up to 84, he's getting a 6th base, he's got his Hive, Vipers are topped up, they're ready to fight. Dark is doing whatever he wants. That's a scary thing. Leaving a player like Dark alone is terrifying, and you can see what he can do. He just gets everything he wants. That's crazy. And even though nothing big has happened, Classic is falling behind. And how many Lurkers do we have? We have 4. Okay, so we don't have too many Lurkers. Big power bombs already on these Oracles. You could argue a waste of energy, but the Vipers have now been scouted. Classic is now aware of the Hive tech. Let's try to get another base up and running. Now may be a good opportunity for Classic to transition into Skytoss and to throw down a Fleet Beacon. If he doesn't transition out of this, then if the lurker count gets higher, it's going to be very difficult for Classic to be really assertive. Now, Dark has to refine his army. He has to throw away the Roach Ravager. Here we go. He goes for a big Roach Ravager counterattack. He pulls the army of Classic back home. For a moment. Never mind. Classic, he does pull back. Oh, he's going to be committing. And again, we don't have enough lurkers to defend. We're still not there. Oh, 2 more lurkers in production. Classic with this Death Ball is going to be able to take down the base. Storms are going to connect with one of those lurkers. As this Ling run by is going to force a recall. Lings did deny the northern base, and oh, the wall's not a wall. No. Lings, they bust into the natural. They focus down that robo very quickly. The power of Adrenal Clans, of Cracklings. Oh my god. As they're going ham in the main, they're going ham in every single base. Bailey's, they roll into the 4th. One of the Forge goes down, +3 is denied. And all of this is buying time for the Lunkers. Here we go. Earlier, Dark was in trouble. Dark only had 4 lurkers. And that was the moment. That was when Dark was the most vulnerable. But this Ling run by, this Ling counterattack forced Classic all the way back home and has bought enough time for now a big lurker switch. And now we do have an army that can go toe-to-toe with Classic, with Colossus. Earlier, Dark was in trouble. I was worried for him. I was worried that Classic wasn't going to turn around. We were going to end up in a base trade. But alas, now it's too late. Stargates are on the way for Classic. He's trying to get into Skytoss. Here come the Vipers. Here come the Yoinks. Oh my god. Big storms on the lurkers though. But 2 Colossus did go down instantly. You see Classic trying to rotate around, trying to avoid the lurkers of Dark, but he cannot find a way in. He's forced back. And these Stargates are late. I believe there is no Fleet Beacon. There it is. Finally a Fleet Beacon. I mentioned earlier that when Classic saw the Vipers, then would have been a good moment to start to transition into Skytoss. Clearly we saw that Classic wanted to end the game before that happened. But at this point it may just be too late. It may just be too late for Classic. Lurkers, they get across the map. They annihilate the site defense. They're going for the base itself. Can Classic protect that Nexus? I mean, here comes the revelation. Here comes the detection. It looks like he will be able to hold on to that base. Here come Lings to reinforce. Bailings are rolling on in as well. They get past the army. Up. And they don't make it into the mineral line. Whole position Lings do though. 14 probes go down. Classic is being pulled apart. He can't attack, and he's struggling to defend. And now we have Tempest in production. Again, this is good and all. This is great, but everything's on fire right now. Everything's burning. The wall's not a wall. Lings get into the natural, into the main. Hydra's reinforcing to hit that 5th base. 3rd is going to be going down. The 4th is left alone for the time being, but soon we're going to get Bailings rolling in as well. Oof, as the Stargate's depowered. +3 is denied once again. Not like this. And here come the Bailings. Just chaos and pandemonium everywhere. Oh my god. The Bailings, they don't get the mineral line, they get the base itself. And just like that, Classic is on 2 bases. He's on 2 Nexi. That's all he has. Sure, now he has a couple of Tempests. He still has a decent army. This is actually, I say decent. This is still a pretty solid army. Don't get me wrong. But he's all in. He is now forced all in. What you see is what you get. Classic doesn't have a mineral bank. He cannot rebuild his army once he loses it. It's one and done. Here we go. Dark already looking to engage. Big volleys from these lurkers go off. Gotta take this slow. Do have a Spire in production. For now, though, I think even Hydra, just Hydra Lurker Viper should be fine against this. There aren't enough Skytoss units to justify a big Corruptor switch. Sure, there are some Colossus, but in general, I do feel like Dark is still not in too much danger. As Classic doesn't even have another base on the way. Dark, he comes in for a counterattack, but there's nothing to attack. There's nothing here. There's a pylon. Ay, ay, ay. Likewise, Lings come in from the left-hand side, and again, there's just nothing to kill. There's cannons and shield batteries. There is no base. There is no mining. Smooch. That feeling when you come in to kill some workers, but they're all already dead. Ah. And here we go once again. Classic going to be moving out. How many lurkers is he pushing into? There's 16. We're about to have 21 lurkers. Ay, ay, ay. Ling's just picking off whatever units they can, making things a little bit more awkward here for Classic. Now, he can still take a fight. Like, I still want to believe, especially with all these Archons and Immortals, we can see Dark just giving up this space, going to be transferring over. Corruptors have arrived. Jesus, that's a lot of lurk. Like, we can't push into this. It's not going to work. It's just not going to happen. One Tempest goes down, second Tempest will fall as well, and so will the last. The Corruptors take a lot of hits to the face, but it's okay. They did their job. With the Tempest gone, there's no way to lay siege upon these lurkers without taking hits. That was the goal. Tempest do outrange lurkers. Oh my god. As 3 Immortals go down. There's just too many lunkers, Bappy. Too many lunkers. Oh my god, the volleys go off once again, and Classic is stuck with a ground toss army. Doesn't have the economy to sustain any kind of sky toss transition. Banelings roll in, they take down the last remaining probes. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 2, taking the series 2-0. GG. That's the wrong button. Sorry, hold on. GG, well played. Dark does take the series, advancing on to the grand finals in a pretty intense series. Like, even though Dark was looking dominant at the end of that game, remember, Classic had a window. He had a moment in time there where he could have potentially killed Dark then and there, when Dark only had 4 lurkers available, and Classic was pushing out with 4 Colossus at the time, with a bunch of Storms, a bunch of High Templar, Immortals as well. He had a terrifying army, and that was the moment when Dark, he initially went for a Roach Ravager counterattack at the 3rd, Ling run by at the 4th, Ling run by getting into the natural, chaos ensuing, and that all forced Classic to turn around. And by the time he cleaned up the Lings and the Roaches and the harassing army, the harassing units, those 4 lurkers turned into 16. They multiplied. They had kids and grandkids, and yeah, we had a whole family of lunkers, and by that point it was then too late for Classic to do anything about it. And as a result, as the game progressed, he had a late transition into Sky Toss, which is the typical answer to a mass Hydro Lurker army, Hydro Lurker Viper composition. So yeah, GG, well played. Likewise, game 1 was also really intense as well. Remember, Classic was just all over Dark, pulling him apart, sniping bases, sniping workers, trading efficiently, doing so well for himself, and then Dark clawed his way back in. He's such a tenacious player. He's so opportunistic, right? Like, he just sees like an opening and he goes for it immediately. Well played, well played. So I guess what I'm getting at is that even though this was a 2-0, and I'm sure people that see the score on the Wikipedia and who don't watch the games, they think, oh yeah, Dark, he 2-0's Classic, of course, he's the better player. It wasn't that clear cut, you know. It was still a very close series despite the score saying otherwise. So GG, well played, well done by Classic, and obviously we're going to be seeing more of Classic in the coming weeks in all these online tournaments. Classic is a very, very active player in tournaments like ESL Asia, ESL Americas, KSL. GG.